monitor.
You know,
We cheaped out with the 23-inch though.
I would have brought $100 and helped them with the monitor if they didn't touch my taxes.
Pick this up off of you.
Cindy, is everything okay? Good? All right. I call this April 6th Utility Advisory Commission meeting to order. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Public comment? Would the press like to say anything? All right. Well, good evening to you. Consent agenda. Does any commissioner wish to remove an item from the consent agenda? I would entertain a motion for approval.
Make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Motion Waldman, second Learned. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. New business item number 1. Gons, I assume?
Good evening, Commission.
Good evening.
The first item has to do with election of the chairperson and vice chairperson. This is an annual procedure that needs to be done. Apparently was not done last year, so we need to elect a chairman and vice chairman.
Conversation?
Nomination.
Yep, basically.
I nominate Mark
Mark.
Baldwin for chair.
Second.
Any discussion? All right. Well, first, do you want to do a chair before you do vice?
Oh.
Or do you want to do vice first? Doesn't matter. Anybody have a preference?
We'll just do the chair.
All right, let's do the chair first. All right. I guess we'll do it like we usually do. Motion Learned, second Waldman for Baldwin for chairperson. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Now let's pick a vice chairman. Any?
I'd like to make a motion for Ryan
I didn't accept that.
for vice chairman.
Second.
Any discussion? Motion Waldman, second Crevens for Learned to be vice chairman. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. We now have a new chairperson and vice chairperson. Congratulations. Good job.
Thanks, Dwayne. I owe you.
New business item number 2.
I'll get started. KCP&L sent us a letter in probably late last year. And this is sorry. I think I'm on number 3, it should be a number 2. I'm ahead of myself. The Zero Garden is a member of KMEA in accordance to section 5.1 of KMEA bylaws. Each KMEA member shall have 2 directors and an alternate on his board of directors. We currently have the following persons. Director 1 is Lance Voigt, expiring on April 30th, 2017. Director 2 is Gonzalo Garcia, expiring on April 30th, 2018. And the alternate is Clint Barney, expiring on April 30th, 2018. Because Lance Voigt is no longer a UAC member and his term expires on April 30th, 2017, the commission needs to consider appointing a replacement as director number 1.
First question, does any commissioner have a burning desire to be the director, a director?
No.
How often do they meet? A couple times a year?
Twice a year.
The next one is May 3rd in Wichita, and then the next one In the fall, it'll probably be in Topeka, or
It's
maybe
usually-
Wichita,
Usually November?
probably November, October. So it's twice a year.
I think that it might not be a bad idea, since we already have Clint as an alternate. If the other director is either Bruce or John, is there any, do we have any conflict with that?
The only item is that they must reside within the territory served by the
Right.
electric,
Bruce, you're outside, right? Yeah.
and John also.
Okay. I vaguely remembered that as I was saying that. Yeah. Okay.
We have to have both be able to attend? Or is this just the?
Well, yeah, seeing how the requirement is just one can attend, I would offer to
The requirement is.
volunteer myself,
one.
yes, to volunteer myself to be as a director.
Yeah, the requirement is one. It's nice if two can go, but
Yeah, I'll see.
Gons will be going on our behalf. Anyway,
Yeah,
if Mr. Crevens would like to volunteer, if.
sure.
I would
I'll
entertain
make a motion for Mr. Crevens for Director 1.
Second?
Motion Waldman, second Learned for Mr. Crevens for Director 1. All in favor? Motion carries. Congratulations. Your first meeting, you're a director.
Hooray.
See how fast we move here?
Yeah, this is government wouldn't take you places. Come on now. Possibility of what? Wichita and Topeka, wow.
Go for it.
Third item, I'll have John Crevens present this one.
Consider a recommendation to the City Council to approve the KCP&L Facility Transfer Letter of Agreement. The KCP&L Transfer Letter of Agreement addresses the responsibilities of KCP&L and Gardner to release equipment currently located in the Moonlight Substation. The equipment is currently owned by Gardner. It provides for the assistance of KCP&L to remove the transmission line relaying for the transmission line from Substation 1 that is currently out of service, and to install new protective relaying panels and place the equipment back into service to provide proper protection for the line between Substation 1 and the Moonlight Sub. For $20,000 to be payable from the City of Gardner to KCP&L and subsequent to completion of the panel replacement. City of Gardner will transfer to KCP&L full title and ownership rights to the Moonlight Substation equipment. City of Gardner will provide to KCP&L all known and recoverable maintenance records, ownership manuals, and other documentation related to the City of Gardner facility. 2. All engineering, construction, and maintenance crew costs for this project shall be considered paid. KCP&L is responsible for the physical removal of line panels and modifications to the remaining Moonlight Substation protection schemes. In other words, there's protection schemes for the transmission line that are currently reside in the control room for Moonlight, and they will be responsible for removing and modifying as required to remove that transmission line protection equipment. KCP&L will assist in the checkout of all protection schemes between KCP&L R1-2 breaker and R1-4 breaker and the City of Gardner breakers. In other words, they will provide assistance as required to operate their equipment and to double check their equipment and make sure that the new protection scheme is working properly. KCP&L will assume all future compliance, replacement, and maintenance obligations for breaker R1-2 and R1-4 following the transfer of the facilities. In other words, these are SF6 breakers that currently reside in Moonlight that are owned by Gardner, that we have really no ability or no access to the breakers in order to either maintain them, to operate them, or keep them in operation. And the title for this equipment will then transfer to KCP&L. We approve the recommendation of the City Council to approve the KCP&L facility transfer letter of agreement.
Does this mean that the portion of the substation that's kind of divided, that was already KCPL, and the portion that's ours, that now they would need to enter our side of the substation more often? No? Okay.
No.
And what-
Everything right now in the Moonlight substation is property of KCP&L. We have equipment that's located in the KCP&L Moonlight side, and we want to release this equipment, so now it's no longer our responsibility. The entitle and the responsibility transfers to KCP&L. Should there be any damage or maintenance or anything,
It's all on them.
it's all theirs.
Do those particular breakers affect our ability in any way with a black start?
No.
Okay. Sounds like we're removing a liability and maintenance headache and letting the people that can actually do something about it do something with
Those
it.
SF6 breakers are getting towards the end of their lives, and the parts and pieces for these breakers are not available. So to get rid of them before they become a nightmare is probably a good idea.
And $20,000 is a reasonable amount to do that.
$20,000 is a reasonable amount for their assistance to remove all of the existing transmission relaying equipment that has been out of service, and we really don't know whether it's operable or not. And we'll put it back into operation with a new system that'll be located in our substation number 2, and we'll have better control of that transmission line.
Okay. Other questions, Commissioners? I'd entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve recommendation to the City Council to approve the KCP&L facility transfer letter of agreement.
Second.
Motion Wallman, second Bevins. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you, John.
Thank you.
New business item number 4.
This item is for the Hillsdale Water Treatment Plant. Last year, summer last year, June 15th, an alert angler found an adult zebra mussel in the Wade branch of the reservoir and took it to the Hillsdale State Park office. The Kansas Department of Wildlife, Parks, and Tourism aquatic nuisance species staff consequently found more zebra mussels on rocks, trees in the same area. The population appears to be low density at this time. However, there is no known method of completely eliminate the zebra mussels. And I was doing some reading. The zebra mussels, they are original from the Caspian Sea and the Black Sea, and through the years between Europe, they came to America. So they're found in Kansas, they're found in many lakes. And what happens, I don't know if you see mussels in the ocean, but they'll become like a cluster of mussels, and they'll attach to structures. In this case, they can attach to the actual intake system, to the filters, and then they will completely block the intake, and then will be the supply of water to the treatment plant will be cut off. So KDHE recommended using copper alloy or copper material for the screens. We did a lot of investigation, and we found 3 vendors. One is Aquestence Group. The quote for 5 filters is $54,000. Elgin Separation Solutions, $54,300. And the Hendrick Screen Company, $55,060. We evaluated the first and the second, they actually made the screen out of a copper alloy. The second proposal, they use stainless steel, and they apply a coating inside and outside. There's pros and cons, but the Elgin separation solution, they'll be applying a coating of copper alloy, and they guarantee it for 25 years. So that's the main reason and the cause we decide to go with Elgin. And that will prevent from the mussel from attaching on the screens and creating blockage to the water intake. So the recommendation from staff is to approve a recommendation to City Council to award a supply contract to Elgin Separation Solutions in the amount of $43,300 plus applicable tax rate and insurance charges for the copper alloy screens at the Hillsdale intake.
Is there any additional maintenance that we'll have to do for the copper alloy versus the stainless steel?
What needs to happen, right now we have 5 screens, so we will, once we get the new screens, we have to contract divers, and they'll go down, take the existing screen out, and put a new one in. And this process will be repeated in all 5 screens. That's the only additional work, which is the actual installation. It has to be done by divers.
But year over year, we don't have to do anything to maintain them?
Nope. It will be at least 20 to 25 years. And we haven't had any zero mussel problems, but we're following the KDHE recommendation to prevent any future problems.
Which are probably more costly if anything
yeah.
gets in there and
Especially
destroys
if
a
you
pump or...
And especially if you don't have water to supply to the city.
Questions, commissioners?
What's the difference between the 1P and the 2P?
The one,
The first one and the second one? Because one's 6,000, one's 5,500. I was just curious as to.
you're talking during the actual quotes?
Yeah, in the Elgin proposal.
Yeah, I just noticed there was 2 different screen types. The only thing I could see is like size. I didn't know if it was something that made a difference or not. Looks like the coating's the same on them both, so.
On the first one is the 54, the acceptance group does the copper alloy. On the second one, the Elgin is a stainless steel screen, and then they will go ahead and coat the copper coating on the screen itself.
Yeah, there's one that's per specification and an alternative design.
Oh, yeah, and that's the reason it took some time to get this staff report. We couldn't get the actual design drawings for the screens. We finally got them we were able to get them from a consultant that built the plant. And if you go by the original specifications, when you apply the coating, it will make the aperture or the opening a lot less. So they said, let's go ahead and get a bigger screen, so when you apply the coating, you will have the same clearance as the original screens.
Okay.
So that's the difference.
Okay. It's actually cheaper then, too.
I had a concern between the coating and said, no, he's guaranteed for 25 years. And if he falls off the screen, they'll reapply it again. But they haven't had the problem, so I don't expect any problems of that sort with the screens.
So the alternative design was something done after, a little bit later. The first one was just from another spec and then,
You talking
because
about
there's
the
there's differences in the size. I mean, the screen element length is 35 on one and
One's long
24.
and one's width, but they're just interchanged between the two. One's the 24 and 33. That's what we're talking about. Yeah, it's just swapped.
Yeah, they're swapped
24
around.
and 35, slightly bigger, but that one's.
This has the
it's-
screen width.
Yeah, it's .09. That one's .07. That's the major difference that I can tell. Is that what you're talking about with the
Yeah, the,
with the
yeah,
black
clear,
coating?
yeah.
You get a more.
The 90,000s versus 70,000?
Then the other option was to pull the existing screens out, then apply the coating. But then you have to get a diver, pull one out, send it to the factory, get it coated, and meanwhile there's nothing protecting the intake.
Well, and we'll have those screens. The screens that we pull out will have backup that we could always
Yeah.
do some. We could code them if we wanted in the future or whatever else. So. Further questions? Motion?
Motion to approve a recommendation to City Council to award a supply contract to Elgin Separation Solutions in the amount of $43,300 plus applicable taxes, freight, and insurance charges for copper alloy screens at Hillsdale Intake.
Second?
Motion Lerner, second Crevens. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. New business item number 5.
This item related to Hillsdale intake again. The existing intake has a 20-year-old crane in place. The purpose of the crane is to lift or remove the submersible pumps from the intake. The jib hoist crane is used to install and remove the 125 horsepower submersible raw water pumps. They're approximately 50 feet deep. Due to the lack of controls on the crane, except for going up and down, vertical, raise or lower, plant personnel must hold onto a chain attached to the jib arm, to keep the jib arm from blowing freely into the wind. If you visit the Hillsdale intake, there's a lot of wind, especially during the fall and spring. On the other end of this chain is a pump that is suspended and weighs about 1.5 tons. Now you can imagine lifting one person holding the jib with a chain while you're lifting a 1.5 ton pump. Plant personnel must hold it still in position over the hatch that has to be opened to remove and install the row pumps. In very high wind conditions or inclement weather, this becomes impossible and constitutes a considerable safety issue for staff. As mentioned before, the crane was put in 20 years ago, and every year cranes perform an annual inspection, and they recommended last year replacing the crane. In addition, in the 2015 water utility assessment, they also recommended replacing the crane. Right now, we feel the crane is a safety concern. A new crane with control will rotate the jib, raise lower functions, and trolley movement will be safer and more efficient for the water plant staff and will reduce risk of personnel being injured. We requested 3 bids, one from Independent Electric, Krone Cranes, and Anchor. Independent sent us a quote for $43,441.42. Krone Cranes, $42,995, and Anchor was $74,572. Due to the familiarity we have with Krone Cranes and being the low bid, would like to recommend the commission to recommend to the city council to award the supply and service contract to Crow Cranes for $42,995, plus applicable taxes, freight, and insurance charges to replace the Hillsdale intake crane. This item was identified in the Raw Water Pump Improvement Project CIPW 1602.
How often do they lift the pumps up out of there?
Over the past couple of years, we've had failure on two of the pumps. Raw water pump number 3 was rebuilt last year, and it fell in service, so it's still under warranty. And number 2 failed in service last year also. I don't know if you remember, but last year you approved replacing 2 of the 3 pumps and installing the variable frequency drives on all 3 pumps to better control the flow to the water treatment plant. So we don't expect to be lifting pumps that frequent, but right now the crane is, like I said, 20 years old. It's in in bad shape. We have no controls, and it takes 2 to 3 people to make a coordinate in order to coordinate lifting the raw water pump from the hole.
Do they lift it up
No,
every year
probably
or
be done
something?
maybe quarterly to do an inspection.
Oh, they lift it up.
They don't
Few
lift
times
it,
a
but
year.
they usually inspect it, or they sometimes need to go down to inspect the connections. But it's not something that is done on a daily basis.
But they are doing it more than just once every few years and,
They're doing it probably 3 or 4 times a year.
okay.
Who's removing the old crane?
The old crane will be removed by the same company.
Okay, I flipped through, I mean, is that clear to them? I mean, they're furnishing and installing the new, but I didn't see anything that specifically said removal of the existing crane.
It did say the existing jib will be removed and set on the ground,
Oh, okay.
but then we have to dispose of it. Is their comment about no warranty on the jib equipment a concern versus any of the others?
The original approach was to put new controls on the existing crane, and the price was bordering anywhere between $20,000 and $30,000. And one of them wouldn't warranty the work because they were saying the crane itself is old, so I don't want to there's no warranties coming with the controls. Then the other anchor gave us a system that was not what we had requested, so we requested a second proposal. And they gave us another proposal, was about $43,000 for the controls only. And then the new crane with control was $74,000. So the most reasonable amount that met our needs was Crown Cranes. But we look all the possible options. Then if you put something new on an old structure, then you may have a failure down the road, so we'll start from square one again.
Will that help us with our annual inspection? Will we get any sort of discount since they do the inspection? Probably not, I'm just asking.
You know, with the new motors and pumps and variable frequency drive, we'll be using the crane, but not as frequent as we have been doing over the past 5 years. But anyway, if there's a failure, you need a piece of equipment that is able to pull the pump without putting any risk to the personnel.
All right.
That's the big concern, my concern especially.
Yeah, I was actually curious. I didn't know if it was something they could, rent a crane when they needed it. That's why I was asking if it was. But if it's something they're going to do a lot, then I'm not even going to worry about it.
But then the crane, the space for putting a crane is pretty limited. I think they've done it in the past, and it takes a lot of maneuvering to get the crane in place. It's pretty tight. And it's right on the Hillsdale Lake. So there's not much room to really to move around. So having a fixed crane is probably the best solution.
Additional questions? I entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve recommendation of city council to award a supply and service contract to Cone Cranes in the amount of $42,995 plus applicable taxes, freight, and insurance charges to replace the Hillsdale intake crane.
Second?
Motion Waldman, second Learned. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Business item number 6. Bruce? Thanks, Gonz.
Good evening, gentlemen.
Evening.
My agenda item is consider a recommendation to the city council to award a supply contract for underground cable for the Circuit 41 backfeed project. The purpose of the Circuit 41 backfeed project is to install an overhead connection between two overhead electric feeder circuits at dead end. Circuit 42 ends at West Cherokee Street and South Poplar Street, and Circuit 41 ends 900 feet west of Orchlands and 45 feet south of KCP&L's transmission lines. The distance between the two connection points is 3/4 of a mile. There will be portions of the line that will be underground, located at West Cherokee Street and under KCP&L's transmission lines. The two existing overhead feeder circuits are shown in green and blue on the attached project location map. The proposed overhead connection is shown in red and underground in yellow. Circuit 41 serves numerous businesses and residential customers. This area is designated as a short-term growth area for future development. The connection of circuits 41 and 42 will provide an ability to backfeed one circuit from the other in the event of a damage to one of the circuits or an equipment failure on the line or at the substation. The connection follows best management practices to provide system redundancy and improve system reliability. The duration and area of impact for an electrical outage would be greatly reduced by providing alternate paths to provide electric service. The 2017 electric budget includes $100,000 for materials and engineering services for the project. Electric poles and overhead wire will come out of current stock. The electric distribution staff will provide the installation. Staff received verbal quotes from 3 local electric supply vendors for the underground cable. The quoted prices change from day to day due to market fluctuations in metal prices. Staff recommends approve a recommendation to the City Council to award a supply contract to Annixter Power in the amount of $35,437.50 plus taxes and shipping charges for the underground cable. Basically, this circuit right here is the only one that don't have a backfeed on it, and it's got Shell station, gas stations, Orchlands. It's got a lot on it going out there. So it's got the RV place across the highway, the lift station, Nike school, all that, and it don't have a backfeed in case something happens. So
I was confused at the, using the underground cable.
mhm.
You're using it for overhead feed?
What, underground?
Or,
No, just to go under the street and under the...
It's going underneath the street
Transmission. Only where the yellow is.
oh.
where the
that's-
yellow is, and then I got to
that's
go underground.
2,250 feet?
Yeah, it's 3-phase.
Right,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
And the red, we're just pulling out of stock.
okay, I follow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which we're gonna pull a lot out of stock.
Yeah, we'll be able to use most of the poles that went out on 191st Street out to Intermodal to feed that lift station we used to own, but we don't no more. I'll be able to pull most of that wire off, which I already have, and pull them poles and apply them to this project.
Seems pretty simple. Questions?
How do we address the fluctuation in prices? I mean, copper's changing every minute.
Yeah. So it could be cheaper once council passes it, and it could be more. But I had to get a price
Right.
to show you guys.
Will Annixter honor their verbal quote? Do you think?
No,
Or-
this one here?
So, I mean, can we get them to
Is there, yeah.
specify a number with a tolerance? You know, I mean, I understand that it fluctuates, but
You mean as part of our recommendation? Or
no, I just mean when it goes to council. You know, within plus or minus 10% or something.
Yeah, I might try that with them, yeah. So, it's so crazy with them cable prices, it just changes day to day,
Yeah.
so. And it could be cheaper by the time we go, you don't know. It's not too bad right now. It was like $15 a foot. So,
Motion to approve recommendation to the city council to award a supply contract to Annixter Power Solutions in, I almost would say an amount to be determined at his call. Do we want to try to put the quoted amount in the recommendation? We know it's going to be fluctuating.
Yeah, I just did a quote.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll just put that
Yeah.
number, and then if it changes,
Yeah.
it can be adjusted by Gons in the proposal.
Sounds good.
He can note that.
Yeah. So approve the recommendation for 35,437 for Annixter Power plus taxes and shipping for underground cable for the Circuit 41 backfeed project.
Second?
Motion Crevens, second Waldman, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you, Bruce.
thank you. While I'm up here, I might as well just go over the,
Badge report.
yeah, you guys have any questions on the first quarter 2017 electric staff report? Responded to 3 outages affecting 9 customers, 2 by equipment failure, 1 caused by a storm. The average response time was 31 minutes, and the average length of outage was 1 hour and 28 minutes. Probably because one of them was the bad pad mount transformer, which was in a backyard, and it takes a while to get to it.
All after hours.
Yeah,
course.
all after hours too, yeah. And this just kind of shows you 2015 first quarter outages and 16 and 17 kind of comparison. Any questions on that?
No, thanks.
On the windstorm, is that, it was just too much at the time, but we don't need to consider anything do anything on that line to help with handling the high winds?
This one here,
Yeah.
this was a house service,
Okay.
so,
It's just
no.
one customer.
No, okay, sure.
No, I think it was something that was blowing through the air, hit it and knocked it off. Because I seen some stuff laying over there to the side, like a big piece of tin or
Oh,
something,
okay.
so I think it might have hit it and blew into it,
Gotcha.
so.
Okay. No questions? Okay.
On the water side, trying to use the same report we do with the electric, and so you're familiar with that type of report, we went ahead and did something similar for water and wastewater.
No, that looks great.
For water, maintenance staff responded to 9 water line breaks affecting 56 customers, 3 due to a valve failure, 3 due to hardware failure, and 3 due to water main breaks. the response times. Since we just started implementing this reporting, we don't have any estimated times, but we'll try to calculate those times on the new format we're using, on the new forms we're using. And there is the table with the.
That'll probably be easier when we get that new maintenance log system as well, so.
Hopefully it'll make it a lot easier. And wastewater is similar. In wastewater, we're tracking backups. For the first quarter, we only had one. We had the call out occur around midnight. We were able to clear the backup around 2:30 a.m. And when the report was put together, the cause was unknown. But this morning they told me that they found those red shop rags they use for. So there were a whole bunch in the sewer. I don't know where it came from, but that was the source of the blockage. Because when they were clearing the blockage, they saw something red going by. So everybody was thinking it was blood. But there was apparently were these red rags that somebody was using for cleaning or whatever.
Somebody was stuffed them in a pipe to keep the backup, and
Who
then
knows?
it got sucked down.
So that was the red color they saw. That's what they were, at the beginning they thought it was a body or blood or just speculation. But it's some red rags now.
Well, at least you got there in 24 minutes. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
In the middle of the
In the
night.
middle of the night.
You must have been watching a scary movie, but still.
Project updates. Bruce, you like to talk about the distribution side?
This is we rebuilt this project. It's just right over here by the Parks and Rec building between North Elm and North Sycamore Street. We went down through there. It was number 4 copper. It was only 100 amp down through there, so we put 4/0. So we're going to make this from right out here at Center Street all the way through to Price Chopper, all the way up through there will be a 200 amp circuit. So we got that completed. Now all we have to do is replace the cable from Elm Street right down here to Center Street. So, and it's number 2 cable. So once we replace that, we'll have a 200 amp circuit all the way down through there. And as you can see, if you look down through there right now at this picture, if you get time, drive that alley now and look how good it looks. I mean, it's clean. It looks really good. Them guys did a great job on that thing. I mean, they cleaned it up and it looks good. Did a great job. This was over there. This is another single phase overhead line rebuild project we did on 600 block of East Washington Street. We, the crew here that does this, they do services and temporaries and street lights. They're the maintenance crew that do all the trouble calls, all the calls, but when they're not busy, they do projects like this. So that's the project they did right there, and they got finished with that. So they got finished with that. And out here on the 167th Street from Moonlight all the way to Waverly. In the past, we've had troubles with line galloping. It would get little ice on there, and they'd start jumping back and forth and trip the circuit out. So we put air spoilers on them, and we completed that. So all the way down through there, they got air spoilers on that bottom 52 circuit. And the transmission lines, we did that a few years back, and they got air spoilers
I was
on
gonna
it
say, like
too.
4 years ago, we had an outage because
Yeah.
of that. Yeah,
So
'cause
they
were
got
moving.
Yep, they all got spoilers on them now, so that's done, so.
Okay.
Since we did that, it'll probably never ice again.
Yeah. That looks delightful.
Yep.
Man, that's compact.
I've already seen it. I can't unsee it.
Can't unsee this one.
This is in the headworks. They have a grid screw pump, and this is what, just to show you what we capture in the headworks. This is all the grid that is accumulated, and we have to remove the pipe and clean out the pipe, because that's the kind of grit or junk we get from the sewer water, for water sewer. On water, I don't know if you remember last year, we hired Walters Excavation to clean the sludge or sediment pond. You can see on the left hand, you have the pond actually being dry and clean. And we did one last year on October, and we started the second one. Will be done around April. So you alternate the ponds. You do it west 1 year and east the next year. So Walter has a 3-year contract to do both ponds for the next 2 years. This is a picture that shows the 2 raw water pumps. These are the pumps we have to lift into the hole, which is about 50 feet deep. So those are the 1.5 ton pumps. These are the new pumps that were purchased last year and they were installed this year. Line maintenance. I don't have the maps, but we have inspected 19,800 feet of sewer lines using 20,300 gallons of water as part of the monthly recurring sewer maintenance program, and about 16,057 feet of line using 15,700 gallons as part of the annual subdivision sewer maintenance program. Like I mentioned a couple months ago, the goal is to inspect about 20% of the sewer lines over the next 5 years, and then repeat the cycle. And that's all for project updates.
Any questions, comments, commissioners? Entertain a motion for adjournment.
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
Motion Lerner and second Waldman. All in favor?
All right.
Aye.
This meeting is adjourned.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Get my picture taken for my.
Should do that too.
Oh, did you buy a pool pass?
They're gonna be mad when we all show up at closing time, 'cause I think
That's why they're late.
He's the new guy.